Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Homebrew Buffoonery. Okay, so today we're back up to full operating capacity. I've got both pots on the go with my figure of 8 thing going with the double pump. What's it? You can see that in episode 20, which you can put up here, episode 20, and did that for a couple of brew days. But what I needed was a bigger pot, and so the camera at the minute is on that bigger pot, and you'll see it later on. It's 20 litres, stainless steel. Got it from somewhere, that'll be up here, showing it now, and it was about 35 quid or so, but it's 20 litres and it'll hold enough wort for when I boil it to do 2 demi-johns worth to ferment. Okay, so a couple of other new things. For the boil, I've got myself a little hop spidery thing. It's pretty fine mesh, I suppose, and all you do is pull those 2 little things out and off it comes. And there you go, that was demonstrated absolutely clearly and perfectly, wasn't it? I got myself a big 3 litre jug, which I'm right happy about. And what else new did I get? Oh yes, I've got some more whale flock, and I've got here some 5.2 pH stabiliser. For a stable pH without added flavours, promotes enzyme activity. And what you do is you put 8 grams per 10 litres of brewing water. So I'm using 15 litres today. So what's that? That's 12 grams of that stuff. And apparently that'll bang it on at the right pH for the enzymes to do the nonsense. And maybe it'll work a little bit better and get a bit more than 65% efficiency. And the other thing as well is because I'm now doing 2 demi-johns worth, I thought I could do a bit of experimentation. So what I've got here, yeast-wise, for this Weissbier is Saf Ale WB06, which is a speciality yeast selected for wheat beer fermentation. The yeast produces subtle ester and phenol flavour notes typical of wheat beers. And it says here, does it say anything about attenuation? I was hoping it was going to have high attenuation. Final gravity high. That might mean it's sedimentation low, final gravity high. So it's going to be hazy. And I've also, in my second fermenter, I'm going to use some of my kveik wet yeast, which has been in the fridge for a week or so, but it should be good for another couple of months, according to the bloke on UK Homebrew Forum. And that stuff is rocket fuel. So at the end of the brew day, I'm going to cool down to 40 degrees, siphon off a demi-john's worth into the demi-john, obviously, and pitch the kveik, try and keep that warm, wrap it up, and then I'm going to continue cooling the rest in my pot down to 20, and then I'll whirlpool it and I'll siphon it out because I've no holes or anything in my boil pot at the minute, and I'm not sure I will do anything like that. But let's have a quick look at the recipe. So for German wheat beer, a Weissbier, which is 10A on the BJCP guidelines, I'm going to be using a kilo of German Pilsner malt. Hopefully, I'm hoping I've got a kilo there. Hopefully there's a kilo there. And then I've got my crisp pale wheat malt, and I've got 1.25 kilos of that. No colours or anything, it's going to be super pale. Hops wise, I'm just going to use 10 grams of SARS in the boil, and then anything else? No, just the WB06. And then the stats for it, I'm just out on a couple, but it's close enough, I think. Stats for it is OG of 1051, which I won't, which I might hit because I've got my refractometer there, and FG of 1009, which I ain't going to hit. I'm absolutely certain of it. ABV of 5.53, 11 IBUs, and only 3.5 SRM colours, which is really, really pale. So let's get on with the old brew day, and we'll have a bit more of a waffle with the old beer guidelines once we've done this. Okay, so I'll just have a quick recap of the 2 pots. So this is where I do all my heating of the water. It's got my thermometer in, it's just coming up to temperature now. I've got about 6 litres in there, and it comes out the back, around through this pump, into there, and then through the old spargy arm, and back into the front. Then it comes out the back, through that pump there, and back into here, and you can see it sort of spins it around a little bit. So the important thing to remember is that these two pumps are absolutely perfectly balanced, and I'm thinking it's best to do it whilst the water's coming up to temperature, so that way I'm not messing about. I need 6 litres in there, maybe a little bit less, because the grain won't fit in there otherwise. And well, whilst we're at it, we may as well look at the new pot. And there is the new pot. It's not even out at wrapper. Look at that, shiny as. It's even got bubble wrap in it. Ooh, I'm right looking forward to using that. I have no idea where I'm going to store it, but I'm right looking forward to using it. Well, normally I would show you the mashing in and all that sort of stuff, but it ain't happening today because it's just not quite happening. I need to get used back into the flow of it. I'm really struggling to balance these out. This Lockline spar jar, I'm used to a lot more water going through it with a single pump, but what's happening is you can hear the pump straining. It's having to work hard to pull wort through from here, I think it's that one, and it's really struggling. So about half an hour in, and it's not going brilliantly, but you know, we learn from these things, don't we? It's been a while since I've done a 2-pot job, and I'm sure we'll get there sooner or later. We're about half an hour in now. I've more or less got it all balanced, nothing's leaking anymore, which is good. I've just put a couple of drops onto my refractometer. I'm looking for a pre-boil of 1035, and it is, wow, 10:31 already, and it's only been going just under 30 minutes. I am mashing at 64 degrees C. Maybe that's something to do with it, and it just converts to sugars, and maybe the enzyme pH balance is having a bit of an effect as well. But we'll give it until 60 and see how we get on. Hopefully we might get above 1035, and you know, maybe that pH buffer is good stuff and should use it a bit more often. Okay, so an hour's up. We've got a starting gravity, pre-boil gravity of 1035. My Hungarian friends here is making me laugh. So what I need to do is turn both pumps off, and then I'm going to put these grains into a colander for 10 minutes, so let them drain off, and I'm going to put everything into that bad boy and get it boiling, and see how good my full-on wok burner goes on the boil of this. Okay, so my big pot, it's finally come to a boil, so I've got 60 minutes, and I'm just going to get my little tea urn thingy and hopefully drop it in. There we go, that was dainty, wasn't it? So there we go, 60 minutes. I've got 10 grams of SARS hops in there, and about 15 minutes left. I'll put in some whale flock, and then we'll have to try and get a cool down. Okay, so we're having a bit of a mare really. We're just about, what time is it? We're about 25 minutes into the boil, and I've managed to get everything cleaned up. Me wort is boiling away nicely. My hops are in. About 10 minutes, 15 minutes before I need to put some whale flock in. But it's been a right old slog tonight. So anyway, here's the German wheat beer. I'm doing a Weissbier, not a Weizenbock like I said before. This is a really pale German beer. It's a pale, refreshing German wheat beer with high carbonation and a dry finish. So hopefully, if I can get it down to 10.06, maybe even a bit less, that's what we'll get. We'll get the dryness. It says a fluffy mouthfeel, and then the yeast I'm using, this WBO6, gives you this banana or clove flavour. And if you ferment it below a certain temperature, like 72 degrees, you get more clove, and if you ferment it higher, you get more banana. Well, you know, we'll see what we get. I think I'll go more clove end. Moderate to strong phenols and fruity esters. The balance and intensity of these two components can vary, but the best examples are fairly well balanced. So, you know, clove and banana. Do they go together? Have you ever seen a recipe with clove and banana in it together? I don't know. Appearance is going to be really, really pale, and it'll be hazy as well, because it's a wheat beer. Half the grains are malted wheat, but it does say it should have a long-lasting white head. It does also say that the level haze is somewhat variable, so if it's not perfectly clear, it doesn't matter. Then it goes on to talk about banana and clove flavour again, and the balance of these two together. Best example is reasonably balanced, and then you might even get a very light or moderate vanilla flavour. Bubblegum notes can accentuate the banana flavour, and sweetness and roundness, but neither should be dominant. Body wise, medium to light body, never heavy. Suspended yeast may increase the perception of body. So what's this? WBO6, it said the sedimentation was low, so maybe the yeast stays in sort of solution in the water. Other things it says refreshing and fast maturing. Lightly hops, I'm only using 10 grams at 60 minutes, so there's no flavours from the hops in there. They don't age well and are best enjoyed young and fresh. Whilst Bavaria has a wheat beer tradition dating back hundreds of years, brewing wheat beer used to be a monopoly reserved for the Bavarian royalty. Have we got any Bavarian royalty in the UK now? Are they from Bavaria? Don't know. And then it says characteristic ingredients, 50% must be malted wheat. Stats, IBUs, SRMs, OG, FG, ABV, all more or less thereabouts. And the tags are standard strength, pale colour, top fermented, Central European traditional style wheat beer family, malty. So there you go. That's a BJCP 10A, a Weissbier. Okay, so it's marginally worrying. We've been going an hour now, and I'm only at 10:43 on the old refractometer. So what I think is I might give it just another 10-15 minutes or so, and then I'll just do it, cool it down, whatever the temperature, or whatever the OG is, and we'll use that. Maybe I'm not doing my refractometer right, but it's had a good hour now, so another 10 more minutes and then we'll come back and speak to you when we're cooling it down. Okay, so I'm at 40 degrees with my big pot here. It's whirlpooling, but I'm not going to bother about that because it's going to be a hazy beer anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 4.5 litres, fill this bad boy up, pitch my wet kveik yeast, and then cool her down and leave it to whirlpool for the WB06. Knowing what I know about this wet kveik yeast, I'm going to leave that there. I'm not going any higher than that because it'll probably bubble over. So I'm going to pitch about half a teaspoon or so of the stuff and bob her in, wrap her up, put her under the stairs, get cooling up. Next one. Okay, so I'm just going to take not much of a teaspoon, I think. Oh, yeah, much. Oh, absolutely stinks. Okay, so we're cooled down to 22-ish degrees. It says on the packet here, ideal temperature 18 to 24, so we're banging. And so all I'm going to do is just pour her in. I've not bothered to whirlpool because it's getting late at night now and I'm getting fed up. So we'll pour her in and we'll leave this one for 2 weeks. The kveik will take a couple of days. This one I'm leaving for 2 weeks. Okay, so there's my Weissbier with a Hungarian twist. The Hungarian for Weissbier or wheat beer is Buza. Buza is wheat and Sure is beer. I knew what Sure was because I speak a little bit Hungarian and I didn't know what Buza was, but easy enough to remember. And OG ended up being 1047. And because it was fermented at 64 degrees, mashed at 64 degrees, I suspect this might be quite a dry beer. It's very dark at the minute, but all this rubbish is going to fall out of it. You know, I've got 9 litres, maybe 8 litres of a potentially very nice beer. It should be interesting to see what the two taste like with the different yeasts as well. So it's a bit of an experiment. So I can do 2 different beers really with each batch, which is great. So that's the end of it for now. Keep an eye out for other videos in the future. Some more tasting videos coming up very, very soon. And you know, you can like and you can subscribe as always. And if you want to comment on any of this rubbish, because I made tons of mistakes tonight, I'm sure you can point a few of them out. You're more than welcome to. And we'll see you next time. So from that there brewery, it's ta-ra for now. And why don't you go out and brew something Weiss?